Gentlemen, and welcome back to the UKLC. I've subbed out Sin and I brought in Orcs. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. That was a hypey last game.
That was a really hypey last game. And I mean,
carry.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at your notes coming out of, well, in the prep section of the day.
Yep.
And you basically just put next to Davalus, are they going to be the Academy Killer team? And no one expected M&M to do it, and they did it.
Yeah, M&M were a team who came in with such potential, and then they just sort of dive bombed, and they just seemed, last week was really not good at all. The draft was questionable. The play was decent, but they just looked like they were lost. And then this game, it wasn't the cleanest, but they're against XL, who have been the Tower champions. We expect them to go up and face Fnatic again. Well, that's not happening.
Yeah, and actually, kind of going into the later stages of the tournament, I want to talk a little bit about who's making it up there, because XL aren't in. Fnatic are the Tower champions. There's none of our Academy teams going into the semi-finals from into tomorrow's games.
Yeah.
And coming out of this game, Darkspawn versus Enclave, I feel like the winner of this game is whoever is someone that either Diabolus or M&M really would like to play against, as that almost gives them a pretty solid shot at making it to finals.
Well, I think you can say that, but also the point I would argue is that Enclave so far have only played these Academy teams.
True.
And even then, they've put up a pretty good fight. I think Darkspawn have been getting better and better every week. So the question is going to be which one will come out on top. I think Enclave is a chance to prove their true level, because we've only seen them go toe-to-toe with these teams who were, up until last game, at the top of the league. And Darkspawn, I think they're a team that are going to keep growing. You know, they have rookies on their roster. They're relatively untested, but they've just been getting better and better. So this is a matchup I'm actually pretty keen to watch.
Well, Sin hasn't left us. He's actually standing by to break down the roster. So Sin, over to you.
Thanks, guys. Going to be talking about Darkspawn versus Enclave, and as mentioned, Enclave are previous season champions coming back in. They've struggled thus far, only played the 2 games, but they did go up against both Fnatic and XL, so the struggles have been pretty large for them. And we've got to look at really their strength, though, and it was Warzy in the mid lane that's really been my man to watch, and he's been showing up. I know he's got a lot of fans out there, and he's been really putting up on a show for them, but I want to see him have the opportunity to, from going up against people like Magic Felix and XL, to have an opportunity against somebody like Beely. So see if that's going to be a change of pace for him. But on the other side, as we mentioned, Beely coming through, struggling so far against some of the upper echelon of mid laners, but still wants to prove that he can be here, with stand here with the best, and he's going to be in the mid lane. PFI, one of the big playmakers for this roster in the jungle. Aka's in the top lane. Flirt and Vigo being back in the bot lane. It's one of the big things to watch. So Flirt, our unsung hero of last week for his Draven play. Vigo back on these playmaking champions. I'm happy to see him back in the roster and see if it reinvigorates them going forward. But now to look at Enclave's roster here. Going to see Governor in the top lane, man, who's had some disappointing performances so far, notably against Sendo when they had such a strong performance through the bot side. Wysek and Warzy, the Polish duo, in the jungle and mid, and Kevo and Raisins in the bot lane. Your boy Neas Guruswamy, one of the legacy players here, all the way back to his time on like TCA. I know that's back when Orcs was playing, so that's such a long time ago, but he's still proving that he has some shot calling potential. The macro moves haven't been too bad, but it's the individual performances that have let them down.
I mean, pretty excited to get into this one, because you know, the first two. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, the first games, you know, we were expecting a little bit more one-sided. M&M definitely kind of shook the boat there a little bit, but this is definitely a game where we, on paper, think is going to be a little bit closer. But then again, like you said at the beginning of after we came out of the break, was Enclave are a team who haven't really been able to show too much, because they played versus Fnatic and they played versus XL. This is their time to go, all right, let's play some League of Legends. Yeah. We're not a weak team.
I mean, by record, they've lost all their games so far, but I think it's easy to say, oh, you know, put them at the bottom because of that, but they've had 2 of the hardest teams they've gone up against. And I think this is the chance to see against a team, Darkspawn, who they're not at the top end of the league, but they're definitely middle of the pack and they've been doing well. I think this will be a real test for them, and we can sort of see where they rank up. And the thing is, with XL off the table now, if they make it through this round, there's good potential for them to keep going.
Yeah, and I think this game definitely can decide the power rankings quite a lot for the kind of mid-tier of the table, because Enclave, while they're on 0 points, they, like we said, have played harder teams. They played very well in week 1 versus Fnatic, actually. There was a moment where we thought they might walk away as the Tower champions, and like you said, Darkspawn, they're a rookie team. We came in and said, rookie players, players who haven't really had their chance to be tested and stuff like that. improving every week, and they're looking better and better as time goes on. Now on to week 3, they get to play versus a team like Enclave, and if Darkspawn can win, they definitely cement themselves in that mid-tier, and if Enclave can win, they definitely start to put some steps towards putting themselves in the middle of the table.
Yeah, and I think as well is that this is the best opportunity for any of the teams to get some points behind them, because up until now it's been very much the Fnatic XL show, both of them been doing massive work and obviously being the 2 tower champions so far, but now XL have been knocked out already, which obviously big news just happened last game if you missed it.
I mean, if you want to catch that game, you can actually head over to the YouTube LVP UK. Quick plug, because if you missed that game, you need to watch it, because that was spicy.
That was a good one.
That was really good.
That was textbook Monk will carry on his signature Cogmore.
I like that you questioned him as well in the pre-game. You're like,
I riled him up. Yeah, I sent him a message before that and said, Monk, I'm going to flame you in the pre-game. Just to rile things up a bit. No hard feelings, though. And apparently he took it to heart because he really showed that he has arms.
Well, let's have a little talk about this game now. And talk about the lanes and what we're expecting coming out. Is there a lane in particular you're excited to watch between Darkspawn and Enclave?
I mean, I think the crucial areas for me would be jungle and bot lane. I think jungle's a big one because we've seen PFI consistently step up, but I would argue that Wisex's the best player on Enclave. So I think it's going to come down to who can impact the map more. But I think bot lane, definitely the bot lane of Darkspawn. We have Vigo back in. I think Fastleg did a really good job, but I think Vigo has more experience playing with Flared. And we saw how much impact he can make when he gets ahead, as he did on that Draven. If they bring in a strong matchup bot, I think they could really cause problems for Enclave's roster.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the mid lane as well, because Beely is a player who he's been around for a while, but never really been able to show his stuff, never really been tested, you know. This is a chance for him to really step up, and so far, his play hasn't been defining of Darkspawn.
He's had good moments and bad moments. I think, in credit to him, last week he had an unfortunate performance, but I think the composition he was against really just punished him. I'd be interested to see what he can do this game, especially as, you know, we said Wisex's great, but Warzy has also done a lot of work in that mid lane, particularly in the game up against XL when he was on Syndra. So I think there's a lot of players I got my eyes on, and there's a lot of opportunities for them to pop off, and it just comes down to who wants it more.
I mean, Warzy fresh out of the Polish region as well. You know, one of the best regions here in the European regional leagues. As every European Masters, Poland has done very well. They surprised people. I mean, they made it to finals in the first European Masters. Second time, we were in Poland, we were in Katowice, and every time the Polish cast was like, we're so surprised they're doing so well. And I feel like these are 2 very, very good players on the side of Enclave with their Polish duo when you look at Warzy and Wisek. And week 1, when we saw the Kindred come out of Wisek, I mean, he had a great start. He did get like 1-3 like around mid-game, but like his start was very strong.
He had a lot of good early pressure, especially on a champion that needs that.
And the main power was actually the mid-jungle synergy. So if Enclave play around that, maybe we can see them really look to punish out onto Darkspawn, who have had very strong early games and very strong starts to their games. I think PFI got the first blood of this whole tournament. He's had a Baron steal. He's been very good for the earlier stages of the game. I mean, Baron's not early, but that was kind of just a fleeting point. But
it's their mid game. They struggle around the mid game. The fact that you have to steal the Baron to get back in is a bit. You don't want to rely on that. And I think that if Enclave get control of their mid jungle and take over the game with that, it might come down to PFI having to steal a Baron again, which isn't the sort of win condition you look for.
Well, we are into picks and bans. Yorick and Yasuo are going to be the first 2 bans. We're not going to see a Yasuo again.
Thankfully, because I mean, it's so strong right now.
It's so fun to watch.
It's fun to watch, but
yeah,
I mean, the wind wall's just frustrating. It's just a lot of damage.
Hey man, it's more exciting than Sion Urgot.
True, I won't deny that. And they banned away the Yasuo and the Yorick, so we won't see them in the top lane.
Zoe remains at 100% pick ban.
Yeah, unsurprisingly, that champion's very strong, and we do see the Lucian taken off the table by Enclave. I think that's a good move. As we said, Flair popped off on that Draven. Lucian's another aggressive AD carry. At least with Draven, if you shut him down, you know, he gets a big gold star because of his passive. Lucian still going to be strong because he's got cheap items and he does a lot of work with them.
All right, well, that's going to be the Karthus banned away. Not going to let that go into the jungle as the Jace is the final ban from Enclave. So you've got the Sion, you've got the Urgot, you've got the Ezreal open.
I expect the Urgot to come out here first. I think it's the strong of the matchup into Sion Urgot. Like, yes, Sion's going to be stronger later as a big tank, but you can have lane advantages, and I think Akers will want to bring it against Governor, especially since in this matchup, historically, Governor's been more directed to playing the tanks himself.
Yeah, and Governor's definitely looked to be more of a carry player recently, if you do look at what he's been doing, but still sticking towards tanks, mainly competitive as well.
Yeah.
It's what he's known for. Darkspawn recognize that, and they are going to get their hand onto the Urgot, but an instant lock-in of the Jarvan. This is a flex pick here for Enclave. Could send it top, could send it mid, jungle, as the Galio also gets locked in. So potentially another flex. Most likely going to see it go bot lane.
Yeah, so I think the optimal positions for these are probably jungle bot lane at the moment. I mean, maybe you could argue top bot lane.
Yeah.
But I'd say jungle bot lane for what you can do on the map. I think it's an interesting early rotation. This used to have a lot more strength. I think now you can still play Galio mid. I mean, we saw Faker do it very recently in Korea on this patch. And I think Jarvan top is strong as well. So it offers that flexibility, but...
That's a Vladimir, Victor.
That is interesting to me. Because to me, when I see Jarvan Galio, I think, right, they're going to put the Cataclysm down, they're going to ult on top, you can't escape. So what would you not pick?
An immobile mage, maybe.
An immobile mage, but apparently Darkspawn knows something we don't. They're going with that Victor.
They know that if you flash out, you don't get hit.
Yeah, very true. And the thing is, it is a flex, because they can send the Urgot mid, they can send that Victor top. I mean, this is League of Flexes at the moment. Everything can go pretty much everywhere at this point.
That's not a flex.
That is not a flex, and that does very much make me think it's going to be a Jarvan top lane. It may not be, still, but it does make me lean towards that. I think Galio in the jungle, I mean, not in the jungle, in the support role is where I'd want it to be. I think mid, he's lost a bit too much damage, but I guess we'll have to see. And I mean, that's one of the misfortunate things from Darkspawn leaving that AD carry so late. They've now lost that Draven on top of that Lucian.
Yeah, it would have been a little risky maybe to pick the Draven blind, especially into this comp. I think Draven does kind of get shut down.
It would have been a bit risky, but they picked Victor into the Jarvan Galio.
I mean, you know,
maybe they want to play it risky.
I think coming out of last week as well, Flirt was someone who looked a lot more comfortable on the team. Like in all of the games, he looked a lot more confident. Where Beely, you know, his performance wasn't quite as good, and like you said, it was a little bit to do with the draft and the fact that the whole team was just really good at killing him. I think they just want to put Beely on something comfortable and know that Flirt has that flexibility available to him, as the Lissandra and the Ezreal have been banned away, and now Darkspawn looking for one more ban, looking to see what they're going to take away. Lucian's already taken off the board.
That's the interesting thing is that, in theory, yes, the Victor, it seems like a champion Beely would want to play, but I'm not 100% certain we can straight away say that's going to be a mid lane Victor, because the Urgot could still be flexed. You could even see the Victor come in the bot lane, which would be an interesting way to do it on this patch, but it's still very up in the air. I think the only thing we know now is that it is definitely a jungle Kindred.
Yes.
Almost definitely. Definitely.
I'm fairly certain that also locks the Jarvan into top lane and the Galio into bot lane. They've also locked in a Tristana here.
Galio could still go mid.
Yes, that is an option, actually.
It is still an option, and I think the flexibility is good because you know what Darkspawn are going to come at you with their bot lane. Galio is strong, don't get me wrong, he is very strong, but there are some lane matchups you can struggle with. I think with Lucian off the table and Draven off the table, he should be okay. So I would be tending towards put it in the bot lane, but we'll have to see. Viggo is going to bring out his Thresh, and we'll now see the pick that will sort of define where everything will go. It will be a Gragas jungle, of course. Can be played support, but not here. The question is going to be, are they going to pick an AD carry to round out the composition or something else entirely?
Curious to see what they are going to lock in here. It's, like you said, potential for that Victor to go bot lane, but it looks like the Sivir is going to get locked in for Darkspawn, so they're going to go for pretty standard.
Yeah, it's fairly standard. It gives a lot of mobility to your backline, and also Sivir, you know, if you spell shield that grand entrance, that heroic entrance from the Galio, you're not going to get suffered that much. It's also a good matchup into the Tristana.
Ooh.
The only thing is, it is a mobile. If it's Cataclysm, it's going to struggle, and this is looking pretty tough for Darkspawn. If we do look at this comp, it's very front to back for Darkspawn. They have to work through the front line, who would dive in first. Yeah.
But Enclave, they're not really. They're just gonna throw everything at them. They don't mind going front. They don't have to go front to back, because LeBlanc can jump onto the back and assassinate people. Jarvan can join in. Galio can join into the fray.
You look for the engage of the Jarvan and the Galio, and then you have two mobile carries in the LeBlanc and the Tristana. They can follow up. Because one of the issues sometimes, if you have something like a Kog'Maw and you try and engage and the Kog'Maw's sitting all the way back, it's not going to work very well. But those are carries you can follow up. The only thing I'm sort of questioning is this Kindred pick. It doesn't really seem to fit in the composition, but I mean, it's something that Wise has shown he's strong on before. So if he can get off that early pressure, I think they can definitely run out well in that composition. It all comes down to, can those carries stay alive, and can Beely get to the laning phase? Because Victor into LeBlanc is not too fun.
As someone who's played both sides of it, it's really rough for Victor.
I think
it's
if you can get a good back where you pick up your upgrade, you can just clear the waves and play a non-interactive lane. But the issue is, if a jungler comes, it's so easy to set up. He did go to cleanse, I believe, just before we went away from the Champions Select, so that gives him 1 out.
Though, for the first upgrade on Victor. It's not like it used to be the 1,000 gold on, like we used to get.
I think in the older matchup, you could like get a couple of Doran's rings, stack HP, you could then get the 1,000 gold upgrade. It wasn't as bad. I think you could actually play it in an isolated 1v1, it was okay. But I think with the changes to Victor and the way his early games are weaker, I'm worried about Beely. I'm worried about my man, what he's going to do here.
Well, don't be worried, because we are ready to go into Game 3 here at the UKLC. As Darkspawn and Enclave are looking to get on the board. Obviously, Darkspawn do have 1 point under their belt, as they did make it into the round of 4 last week. Enclave 0-2 here in the UKLC, and this is their chance to try and step up, try and get some points and not fall behind the rest of the pack.
I mean, but one of the big things is that last week they were against Fnatic, so they had a pretty rough draw there, and having gotten that out of the way, they're in a good position now, because I think Darkspawn have shown they're a team that are getting better and better, but I think in terms of who you're up against, I'd rather have Darkspawn in the first round than, say, XL, unless you're M&M, who clearly aren't bothered.
You see, Warzy's taken the Minion Dematerializer on the LeBlanc. Pretty standard, but it will help as well into the Victor, who will typically have a bit of better shove with that Death Ray, especially once it's upgraded, but he's going to be able to punish him early. He's going to be able to try and match his shove early.
Yeah, I think just the early levels is going to be a bit difficult for the Victor, because your laser doesn't really do that much. I mean, level 1, I'd imagine he probably goes for his Q, just for the better trading, but I guess we'll have to see. I think Victor's going to struggle a bit until he gets a few more items behind him, and crucially, I'm just going to look for PFI to ensure his mid lane is protected, and cautiously watch what Wise's going to do. You can see already Warzy having the shove in thanks to his distortion. And bot lane as well. I mean, Darkspawn's bot helped with the leash, and because of that, they're getting zoned out pretty heavily. They will pick up all the minions, but they're going to get pushed in and out. Wise going for a blue steal, and as far as I know, PFI's unawares.
Yeah, I'm curious to see whether or not they actually go for the vertical jungling here. Unluckily for Wiseek, the crab is on the bot side, so not going to be able to get that early stack on the passive.
Yeah, I mean, what PFI might well do here is pick up his Raptors and then recall and get boots. So if he does go for that, then Wiseek's kind of caught him out. But he has actually been spotted on the on the pixel ward on the top side. So I'm pretty sure PFI should know that
Warzy did actually go down to see if the crab was still active as well for him.
Yeah, I think he just ensured that it hadn't been taken. And I think Wiseek, his plan now will be head to his blue side, secure that empowered skull, and then pick up his own blue buff, because obviously having that 3 buff start will be really strong for a jungler like Kindred likes to farm. And it looks like PFI is essentially sacrificing part of his jungle, accepting that he's lost his blue. I mean, I'm not 100% certain that the, PFI knows his blue is gone.
Well, they saw him on the ward.
But I think where the ward was, you saw the direction Wiseek was coming from. I think you should have that impression that it's gone. If he doesn't, then that's a bit unfortunate. But right now, Wiseek is getting off to a great start. He's going to get both crabs and a 3 buff advantage.
Now, crucially, Wiseek, when he played this Kindred into Fnatic, had a very strong start, similar to this, but it did fall apart, and he made some questionable mistakes into Fnatic, and they were able to punish him. So the question is if he opens up those mistakes, will Darkspawn actually be able to punish him as well? It looks like he's going mid.
Bit of a spectator bug.
Yeah. Beely hanging in the wings. Stepping back, does have the flash and the cleanse available to him, but Wolsey going to step forward here. They're going to jump on. The slows are on. Flash comes out from Beely.
That's really unfortunate, because PFI was actually there for the counter gank, but Beely just knew he couldn't risk stepping up that far against the Kindred and the LeBlanc, so he has to burn his flash. So successful gank for Enclave, and the big thing we're going to look for is when will they go for the re-gank? They have 5 minutes before that flash is going to be up again. Timing's going to be crucial here.
Wiseek is going to go get his blue now, so actually using optimal use of the blue buff.
Yeah, it also staggering does it well, because that means you can contest the enemy blue, which of all the champions to have to contest a blue buff, LeBlanc is pretty good, because you can obviously get over the walls.
And Victor would really like it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can contest the enemy blue buff while yours is unavailable, so you can leave it a bit of time before you get it. And I mean, this is the issue, is now Beely is flashless. You have to play with so much respect against Warzy, because anytime he dashes forward, you're going to be asking yourself, wait, is the jungler here? Am I going to die? The question's going to be, I don't know. Maybe.
He does still have that cleanse to at least break the chains if Warzy can jump on into him, but the Ignite's available. He's closing in on that level 6 mark as well, while Beely's only level 4.
Yeah.
Could be pretty rough early as Wyzik just having a little sniff around in PFI's jungle, looking to spot him out, and will actually find him with the Scryer's Bloom, so they know where PFI is.
Yeah, and Wyzik continuing to sort of dominate this early game. And this is what Enclave need to do if they're going to win. They need to get this LeBlanc ahead. They need to snowball the early game and continue on to the mid game.
Oh, this is the one as well. PFI does not have Smite. Wyzik does, so he picks that up.
Gets another stack, so on 2 now.
2 stacks already at 5 minutes over to Wyzik. He's got himself almost a 10 CS lead over PFI as well.
I mean, this is exactly how you want your early game to go as a Kindred. They need to keep this momentum going, because if you look at the carries on the side of Darkspawn, sure, Victor's very vulnerable right now, but you get to the later stages of the game, and it's going to be very hard to win a team fight against a Victor and a Sivir, especially with all the peel they have for the rest of the team. So, yes, Enclave are doing great here, but they need to keep this momentum going.
And you can see PFI tried to steal away the Raptors from Wyzik, and Wyzik just walks up and says, no, these are mine, buddy.
Which is surprising, because PFI already backed. He picked up Boots, which gives him access to Predator. He picked up the Blue Smite, which obviously gives him some extra combat advantage. Wyzik hadn't recalled until just now, and yet he felt strong enough, confident enough to completely push PFI out of his own jungle, and he's essentially taken the lion's share off these camps on the map.
Well, this will be the first denial of a stack from Kindred as PFI. They're going to pick up the Gromp here. I want to talk a little bit about the top lane Orcs, because it's been relatively quiet for the most part. Akers did actually have a CS lead over Governor, but Governor has been able to farm out underneath his tower to actually pull that CS down, CS lead down and back towards him a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, it's a sort of matchup where Urgot's going to have the advantage because of his range, but the thing with Jarvan is he's quite capable of just farming with his abilities. He has decent range on his Q and his E, and the mana costs aren't as bad that if you're using them to farm, you're going to suffer. So I think he's okay, especially one of the greatest things about Jarvan is because of his passive, his CSing on the towers is so easy. It's really hard to zone him up for CS while he's under the tower, especially for someone who's as short range as Urgot.
Wyzik contesting that blue buff, and looks like Warzy has been spotted out on the control ward, but
I don't think it matters.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You can see that PFI's doing his red on the other side of the map and just complete control over to Enclave here.
I mean, this is a crucial thing with the timing, because they got that blue so early and there was a delay. If you look at where PFI is now, he would normally be able to steal away the blue buff from Enclave. In fact, he's actually heading over there to put some warding down, but it's not there for a significant amount of time. He even checked it with the barrel, but good timing from Wyzik meant that buff isn't there to steal when PFI wants it.
You did see that Beely had to use the Chaos Storm to try and force it out for the moment, as well to force the wave, because he just ran out of mana. That blue buff's not going to be available to him. Has been able to upgrade his item, I believe. Or was that first point?
No, he did. He has upgraded it, so he should have the upgraded laser to help with wave clear. But again, he's just going to sit mid and wave clear, and we have this Kindred who's constantly picking up camps on the map in a situation where you have the jungler who, I would argue, can make more impact early. The Gragas is Predator. He has a great CC for ganking. You would think he could make things happen, but right now it's Wyzik's game.
Yeah, Wyzik definitely running away with the game and not making the same mistakes he made last time as well, where he was going for over-aggressive tower dives. But Raisins just going to dodge away from a hook here from Vigo, but you can see Wyzik hanging in the wings. No ward's been spotted out, but he will get spotted out by PFI as a little skirmish between the junglers will break out, and PFI forced to use the body slam to get over the wall.
Crucially though, the Victor can never really walk down here, because if you walk into the jungle and LeBlanc is there, it is so bad for someone like Victor. You can see Beely stuck in mid lane, just wanting a wave clear, and as a result, Enclave get the extra control, and they're going to pick up this first dragon. Fortunately, it's a cloud, but you take it.
Oh, Wyzik takes a trade with Beely, goes even, but Wyzik has the mana to do this, and look at what's spawned in that blue buff coming up soon. So, once again, just remaining in control of these buffs, and PFI's only had 2 so far, where Wyzik has had 4.
Yeah, much better situation to be in, and this is exactly what you want from the Kindred. The counterplay to a Kindred is deny the camps, but when the Kindred's taking his own camps and yours, you know the game isn't going too smoothly. And I do think the matchup for Gragas is fine, because if you land the body slam, you can shut him down, and the barrel is great against the ult, but still, you don't want Kindred to be strong.
Now, the key thing we talked about is the jungle difference so far. You know, we've hit on that a lot, but if you do look up at the top of your screen, you'll actually see that the gold is only 300 between them. However, Darkspawn are trying to make a move here with Beely in this top lane, trying to get some plates over onto Akers, who is doing pretty well in this matchup versus Governor on the Jarvan. And PFI also hanging about looking for a potential dive onto this Jarvan. So while we've talked a lot about how the top lane, how the jungle difference is causing a massive problem here for Darkspawn, and as we move later, it could be a problem with a scaling Kindred, the game is still relatively even here at 10 minutes.
Absolutely. I mean, there's advantages from that area because Akers has picked the Sirgot, which is so popular for a reason. It is such a strong pick and has great matchups. And Governor, again, he was really solid on tanks. Jarvan isn't quite the most tanky matchup in the lane, and he's done fine. Credit to him, he's done fine, but tower's been chipped away at, and now you've seen they've made the decision. Bot lanes have swapped to the top, and they're going to try and focus on this Rift Herald.
And another key thing about Akers on this Urgot is the fact that actually he has a very good matchup into the Kindred, because he can just pull someone out of that ultimate with his Fear Beyond Death for an execute. As Warzy looking for some damage onto Beely, actually takes a fairly bad trade as the ultimate chains comes out. Now PFI looking to get onto Warzy. That's going to be on the hunt, thrown out by Fleur. Boomerang Blade is coming forward. That's going to be the Lamb's Respite as they're jumping into the frame. Warzy looking for an assassination, and Vigo is going to be the first one to go down. A two-man torn by Raisins, but in comes Akers. He throws out the Fear Beyond Death onto Raisins, as Raisins is still too low. 2 kills have been picked up for Enclave. Actually make that free. They're looking for Akers. Warzy jumps into the fray. The chains connect onto him, but they can't quite kill the Urgot yet. And they're just going to lose 3 members. Darkspawn, I was saying it was going good for them, but
I mean, they just overcommitted onto Wyzek. We said this composition needs to fight front to back. We also said they're going to do better later in the game. They try and get on top of the Kindred, and crucially, he uses his ult combined with Raisin's heroic entrance, and they were disjointed. They ended up in the middle of Enclave, who surrounded them, and there's not a situation you want to be in against the likes of a LeBlanc and a Jarvan. Will give this Rift Herald over to Enclave, so...
Well, Vigo's actually trying to come in. Boomerang Blade, I don't see who stole that, actually. It might be the side of Darkspawn as they get the damage onto Governor, and Wyzek was able to pick it up at least, so they lose the Rift Herald, but they do get themselves a kill onto the Governor.
Yeah, so they do manage to get something back, and that's the problem with spawn time is so short, but I think Enclave are going to be happy with that trade. They won the initial team fight, and they get the Rift Herald, and now Wyzek getting very strong and has this objective where he can place it where he wants. And it looks like he's heading towards top lane. Backed up by Raisins and Kevo, so it needs to be careful.
Flirt's going to be able to get a plate and some minions here. Still staying fairly equal in CS, but Wyzek spotted down that pink ward, just going to clear it away. You can see PFI's also about another good tool to force Wyzek out of his own Lamb's Respite is that explosive cast on PFI. So a couple of tools actually to Darkspawn that they can use to deal with the Kindred, who have to see if they can utilize them well, as in that last fight they were unable to. PFI finally gets the blue buff.
Finally. Congratulations, PFI. Unfortunately, Beely doesn't get it still, so kind of unlucky for him, this Victor. Obviously, would love to have a blue buff, but you don't always get what we want.
Well, he's almost upgraded his item all the way.
Yeah, just going to keep hammering those upgrades away. I mean, his wave clear is going to be solid. And that's the thing, when you look at the Darkspawn composition, it screams one thing to me, and that's wave clear. So if they need a stall, they can. Unfortunately, with the Infernal Dragon coming up in 40 seconds, to me, I think they have to give this up. I'm going to say honestly. I think they're going to lose this mid tower because of the Rift Herald. That's fine. But you don't have priority over the Dragon area. I don't think you're in a good position to fight for it. I think just let it go. Try and potentially look for that tower top lane. But I see all of Darkspawn heading over, and they may look for this team fight, but it's going to be a hard one to win, especially when we saw how successfully Enclave did in that last team fight.
Yeah, they're definitely worried about Wyzek, who Blast cones away to safety. Warzy finds PFI looking for the assassination, forced to use that stopwatch to go golden. Lantern will make sure that he does not die here. But
okay, if you weren't going to give it before, you definitely give it up now. I think this Infernal, PFI is way too low, you accept it's gone. It's not nice to give over Infernal Dragon, but sometimes you have to. Focus on the scaling advantage your composition has.
A lot of damage coming out there from Warzy to make sure that that gets picked up. Infernal Drake gets secured by Enclave, and once again we get another Cloud Drake spawning up after that. I think that's like the 6th Cloud Drake in 3 games.
I mean, who's counting?
Me.
Oh, well, good job. We'll see the Civet now move to mid lane just to cover that wave clear. And this is an issue as well, is that Victor is not great in side lanes. I mean, LeBlanc isn't the best because she doesn't have TP, but she's still way better than a Victor in the side lane.
Ooh. Governor gets exhausted here by Akers. Akers actually gets chunked out quite hard.
Yeah, that must have been tiring.
I'm just not gonna
bite.
Woozy gets a crab. There we go.
Good job, Woozy. Well played. Nice crabbing.
Curious to see how many stacks he's actually on at this point on the Kindred.
More than 2.
I would say yes, more than 2.
Let's have a guess. Trying to have a little wager. I'm going to say
5.
Oh, I was going to say 5. I'll say 4 then.
Okay, we'll have a look when it comes up. Depends, because if it goes up any more time, then maybe it's going to go to 6.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll have a look when we can. Well,
we'll just assume whatever I said at this time was correct, because I'm usually correct, and then we'll see what it is later.
Well, he hasn't got any points up at the moment, so...
Unfortunately, just have his target set onto Akers. Not sure how easily you'll be able to find that. But now you see, transitioning this mid-game in Enclave with their big lead. Start to get control. You see some good vision around the middle area of the map. Unfortunately, struggling to make something happen. They need to push into the jungle of Darkspawn.
4.
That's right. I'm so smart. Wow.
Oh, man, you're actually smurfing. The worst thing is if PFI hadn't taken that one away, it would have been 5. And in a way, we would have both been right.
But that wasn't
but we
case,
weren't.
that was
no.
right. Yeah.
All right, static shift finished up on Kevo. As Flirt just sitting on the Zeal and the BF sword here. It's 16 minutes into the game. You can see Wisex working his way towards the rapid fire cannon, which is what we normally see. As PFI actually has popped himself the Predator. They might be looking for something onto Governor here, as Akers just put some damage in. And PFI
they crucially know the Galio is there, and they don't want to risk it. They know the power of that heroic entrance, and they just don't want to go for it. And the problem is they've given up a lot of pressure bot lane, and Beely, like I said, not the greatest in these side lanes, especially when there's a LeBlanc and a Kindred hanging about. And good transition from Enclave to try and get some more towers. They picked up their second, and the pings have come out. They're looking for that top lane tower next. This is how you want to transition your mid game. You get those other towers down, you get a significant gold lead, and then you can start playing around the vision for Baron. And crucially, someone's going to have to walk up and face check. I don't think anyone really wants to. You know, when you look at what they might be walking into, a LeBlanc hiding in a brush, just not a fun situation.
Well, bases are coming forward for Enclave. They're looking to spend some gold here. Reset the map as Governor is still doing okay in this matchup. He's holding out as much as he can in the CS as Akers should be able to catch most of that wave as Cleaver almost finished for Governor. Looking to base up and probably buy that now.
At this point, that differential just really isn't relevant at all. Akers is in a good position because he has that Cleaver, but Governor isn't doing too bad. I think the bigger discrepancy is look at mid and AD carry. The map rotations from Enclave and also just a bit cleaner laning have led them to get 30 CS differences in the mid and AD carry, and that's pretty significant. You can see the bounties have already developed on those two champions. So they're in a good position to snowball this mid game, and especially now if you look at LeBlanc's items, this is what I call like the one-shot build. You have the pen from your boots, you have the pen from the Oblivion Orb, and you have the Luden's Echo. So they're in a really strong position. I'm going to have a look at that team fight we saw earlier, and why it buys so much time, and crucially, the barrel doesn't connect, and then he gets it all off just after silence. You can see the heroic entrance comes in, and now, crucially, Vigo is just completely out of position. They turn onto him, Flirt and PFI step too far forwards, and Raisins with that double taunt did so much work there. And then even better, the stopwatch at the end stopped the Ergot ult coming out from Akers. So Raisins just completely carried that team fight. He stopped the Ergot ult, which would have feared them all. He also got the two-man taunt, which killed PFI and Flirt. He just carried that fight, so props to him.
Worst thing is, Wolsey definitely was trying to chain Beely there. If that had hit, he would have died.
Well,
as we get the
not
slow
worst thing if
sigil.
you're a Darkspawn fan.
Definitely not.
Still got hope, but that definitely was a favourable team fight for Enclave. And Raisin showing why he is someone... We are going back in the game. Raisin showing why he is someone who's played in the UK scene for such a long time and still knows how to bring it.
Well, 18 minutes on the clock. Gold definitely and comfortably in favor of Enclave here. As next Drake, the Cloud Drake, will be spawning in 40 seconds. 1 minute till Baron. Do you think it's a little early for Enclave to try and go for that objective? But
yeah, I think that's one issue with Enclave, is that they don't have anyone who can easily tank the Baron. You know, in some compositions, you have a very tanky top lane like a Scion, you have a tanky jungler. You can tank it for a very amount of time, but at this point in the game, you would lose too much.
Oh, the flash torn by Raisins goes in for the Justice Punch onto Flirt. That's one quick kill. In comes Kevo. They're chasing onto Flirt. The explosive cast comes out. That's going to be the dunk. Not enough to get the kill, though, as Flirt does actually go down. What an engage by Enclave.
Cool as that, the governor with the goggles and the sunglasses, but they make an aggressive play, and props again to Raisins. He finds Vigo completely unawares. Flirt falls as well, and Enclave just proven they know how to pull the trigger.
That is definitely my favorite of the victory ones.
I think some of the fail ones are pretty good.
Some of the fail ones are very good. There's one I'm hoping we see, but depends on the player.
Do you think he's a player that will fail often?
I don't want to say. I'm not even going to say names at this point.
Well, I know you don't have to say name, but do you think we'll get an opportunity to see it before?
Most likely.
Okay. So you basically just said that they're a player who will fail.
I just said they might make a questionable mistake. Everyone does. Everyone makes mistakes.
Some more than others.
Some more than others, true.
And right now in this game, seems like the bot lane of Darkspawn is the some more than others. Because they haven't had a great start.
No, 1 and 4 as a lane, unfortunately for them. You see Kevo 2-0-3 on that Tristana, and it looks like Warzy looks for an assassination onto PFI. Doesn't actually quite have the burst right yet to blow through the Gragas.
But you don't need it. You force PFI away. I mean, yeah, sure, you use the Ignite on LeBlanc, but that's not too big of a deal. Her ult has such a short cooldown, and it forces PFI so far back and gives you so much control. And you can see now, Enclave are taking over this Baron area of the map. They're clearing out all the camps. And it's going to be so difficult for Darkspawn to walk up and contest his vision. You can see Vigo's looking, but you saw how quickly he died to the Flash Torn from Raisins. If it's a LeBlanc instead of a Galio, it's even worse.
Well, Flirt, who was our unsung hero coming out of day 1 last week. 1-2 on this Sivir. A whole item down over Kevo. Desperately trying to get into that Infinity Edge before any attempt at a Baron comes forward from Enclave. Because if they fight versus a Tristana with Static Shiv and an Infinity Edge, and you've got a Sivir with a BF sword, a pickaxe, and a static, you know it's going to be a really rough one as well.
Oh, the chain
looking onto Akers there, look at the chain and the damage, and Wyzik just deletes him. Akers goes down, and that's the pick for Enclave.
So much damage there, and this is the issue. Darkspawn have nothing on the map they can do to contest that play. Just another free kill for Enclave that's going to push them further ahead. I mean, look at the goal difference. It's staggering at this point. Almost 8,000, and it's just not looking good for Darkspawn. Yes, are Sivir and Victor going to be good in the late game? Sure, but will they get there? It does not look like it, especially in a situation where Sivir still has a lot more items to go before she's putting out real damage. She needs defensives to survive, and she's nowhere near getting them.
Can have all the wave clear in the world, but if you can't get onto those waves to clear it, means Enclave with their double AD carry comp will be able to rip through these objectives and these turrets. Rapid fire cannons on Wyzik's already done. You can see that Kevo looking to pick up probably his second zeal. Does go and get it.
And that's a big talking point is, sure, they don't have the best team comp to tank the Baron, but they do it very fast. So if there's a small window where Darkspawn doesn't have vision, they will just absolutely take off the map in no time at all. Crucially though, Darkspawn are finding an opportunity to get some vision here. However, it's not going to last too long because Enclave, yes, they were recalling there, but they're heading back over and they're going to take over that Baron area once again.
Yeah, you can see that Flirt's going to base, probably pick up his Infinity Edge here. There it is. Curious to see whether or not we see like the Essence Reaver come out of Flirt as his next item.
I mean, personally, if I was Flirt, I would say build a defensive item because right now you're just going to die. He may be in the boat that says we need more damage if we're going to win, but
could go PD.
Could go PD. PD would be a pretty solid option here. I think that's what I would lean towards. Could go for an early GA. I mean, yes, it does sort of break your damage curve quite a bit, but at this point, being dead also breaks your damage curve quite a bit.
Well, this might just be that opening you were talking about. Don't have someone to effectively tank the Baron, but they cut through it very, very quickly with that Infernal Drake in their pocket.
It was a good
I'm going to step away, though.
I mean, this is the crucial thing, is that you see how much health Raisin's lost already. If Darkspawn put down a Scrying Orb as they did there, Enclave know they have to back up straight away. They lose way too much HP. It's too risky. That's how you end up losing this game. But they've cleared the vision. They're going for it again. It's going to go down very fast. If Darkspawn can't walk in and contest it, they get this so easily. And if you look at the map, they put their Scrying Orb down, but it's way too late. This is gone.
That's going to be a redemption to heal up the team as well. In comes PFI, though. They get that Miracle Steal, but he's forced away by the Governor. And Enclave will be able to take away this Baron Nashor at 24 minutes. Akers, meanwhile, just slowly killing towers.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's a small consolation. All the Darkspawn have taken on the map is 1 kill. 1 kill onto Governor early on. No towers as of yet. They've chunked them down, but they haven't taken them out. No dragons. It's a pretty dire situation to be in. And yes, we've said before, Sivir and Victor are going to be strong in the late game and they can be protected, but they are so far from that. And especially when you look at the items, Kevo, 3 items on Tristana, has a rapid fire cannon. Warzy on this LeBlanc, working towards that Rabadon's death cap. It is not a good time to be a late game carry if you're on the side of Darkspawn.
Yeah, definitely a dangerous position to be in as Wyzek 8 stacks on that passive, and now they're looking to get themselves a second Infernal Drake. If this goes over to Enclave, I mean, it's very, very unlikely that Darkspawn are going to be able to pull back into a double Infernal Drake. Almost 10k gold lead Enclave.
I mean, this is the issue, is that you're playing this front-to-back composition. You have to wait for the opportunity to peel, because if you try and go aggressive, it's going to be very difficult to pin down one of Enclave's carries, and even if you do, they have the Galio ult, they have the Kindred ult to keep them alive. So Darkspawn have to wait for Enclave to engage and hope they botch it. That is their win condition at this point, and that's not a great win condition. Because, I mean, right now with the Baron, I don't even feel like Enclave need to fight. They can just push the waves up and let the Baron minions do the work, as you can see is happening top lane.
The Governor's making sure that cannon gets as much damage onto the tower as possible. Curious to see whether or not we see like a 1-3-1 start out from Enclave here, or
I think that's the best option, especially when LeBlanc is so hard to pin down. All you have to do is walk up with the wave and let the cannon minions hit, and Beely is tied to head over there and try and defend it. And you can see that's the situation that's happened. Wyzek was free to move top, and this is just a great situation for Enclave.
It was so clean, we had to see it twice, and a kill goes down actually onto Beely as Warzy just gets a solo kill here. PFI also quite close.
And this is a problem, is you don't want that Victor in the side lane. He's not good in a 1v1 environment against LeBlanc. Too immobile, too easy to get picked off, and Enclave are just taking over this game. I mean, we said this game would be close. This isn't close.
It's 1-7.
I mean, look at the goal difference. Why do we lie to the people, Jake? Why do we lie?
I don't know, man. Looking really, really rough here for Darkspawn as Enclave almost taking down their last inhibitor. Let's have a little look at that solo kill again, though.
Yeah, so I mean, this is the issue. As soon as Beely walks up to try and wave clear, Warzy goes in, and great chain there. As soon as that chain lands, it just contributes so much to the damage. You know he's going to find the kill. He's trying to chase Warzy, but he's not giving up that easily.
Yeah, Kevo's also making his way in. The Taunt connects. They've got that gravity field in for the moment. Akers loses a serious amount of HP, and Governor comes in with a 3-man dunk. That's going to be the Demacia Death Bowl in for the damage. The suppression comes down. Akers gets himself 1 kill on to the Governor. And the almost flawless game by Enclave, bar the 2 kills onto Governor. But they can walk away happy, taking 3 inhibitors down.
Yeah, so good moves from them to try and go aggressive and finish the game out there, but crucially, it doesn't matter that they lost a member. Once again, it's Governor, unfortunately. It doesn't really matter that they lost those inhibitors. I mean, sorry, it doesn't even really matter that they lost that tempo. They took the inhibitors, and they're going to end the game on the next push, most likely.
Yeah. 28 minutes on the clock as Enclave looking towards the Infernal Drake as their next Drake. Just waiting on these audio issues to be resolved here for the moment. As looks like Enclave are just grouping up here, trying to push down the last tower.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that there's not much pressure for them here. They have control of the game, and they're going to try and make it end as soon as possible.
Yeah, it looks like they are going to try and end this as quick as possible here. Team grouping up here. They've got 6 supers per wave. Aka's able to clear out the wave here for the moment. But it's getting slimmer and slimmer, their chances to pull this back. The PD has been finished on Flirt. Can the unsung hero from last week step up here for Enclave one last time? Unfortunately, in the belief that that's probably not going to be the case, is
I mean, they have to try. The last engage needs to come in if they're going to stand a chance.
That's going to be the Chaos Storm onto Wisehook. He's already low, but he has that Lamb's Respite, forces it out. The
Yo,
Fabian
gets him!
Oh, Akers takes him down, and in goes Viggo into the fight. A 3-man play comes out, but he just gets chunked and ripped through. KO manages to find himself one already on that Tristan. The Governor going to go golden as the laser beam takes him out, and Beely is going to be able to get that kill. It's now 3v4, and Wazzy leaps into the fray. Not enough to get a kill, but Kebo now chunking members left, right, and center. He's going to go onto the turret for the moment as Akers is trying to get that damage down. That's going to be another one onto Kebo. The Nexus is going to be the focus here for Enclave.
They have to defend.
And they have to defend, but can they? PFI, Beely, and Flirt have to try and 1v2, but Wazzy working his way onto the Nexus.
Oh,
Kebo jumps back out of the fray into the damage, and the Nexus will go down. Enclave take out Darkspawn and advance to the semi-finals.
And you could see at the end of it how Darkspawn's composition tried to find life. They tried to fight from the back, but it's just way too late. Enclave, and when we asked, have they just had an unfortunate game, or is it just, I mean, have they had an unfortunate game so far? Are they one of the top teams? And I think they answered. That was a dominating performance.
Dominating performance indeed. And Raisins is the man who's going to walk away with MVP coming out of this game.
Yeah, and understandably, he had so many great plays on the Galio. The flash taunt was really good to pick out Viggo. And, you know, we saw Viggo come back from a hiatus where Fast Leg filled in for him, and he just looked a miss. He looked caught out consistently, and Raisins looked the strongest support.
Yeah, Raisins definitely stepped up to the plate in that game. But remember, once again, you can always go onto Twitter and vote for your unsung hero coming out today. So is there anyone from that game who you think maybe?
I think Wisehook would be a fair bet, just from his performance on the Kindred. He made so much happen earlier. I think, you know, that would probably be my unsung hero if I had to put it up.
I mean, it was a very good game coming out of Enclave. They've now got themselves into the semi-finals. They're versus either Eminem or Diabolus, or whoever wins out of the next game, which is going to be Bulldog versus Barrage.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're any one of those 3 teams, the team you want to face is either someone out of the Bulldog versus Barrage game.
Yeah, I think Barrage, on paper, have looked like a really strong team because they've got some veterans from the league. But in practice, it hasn't been as convincing. And I think it's going to be interesting to see if they can return to their expected form against Bulldogs. Bulldogs, I think they've looked better than I expected initially, but the issue is now they've had a sub situation. They don't have their main starting jungler, and last time they played, he was the person I thought had improved the most. So
yeah,
unfortunately, a bit of a step backwards.
Definitely going to be a step backwards, but we now have 3 teams. We have a draw at the end of the show to see who's going to be going up versus who, and I'm really liking the way we've had a shake-up here. You know, we've got Diabolus very expected to make it into the semi-finals once again. Eminem versus XL, we didn't expect that to go that way, and Eminem looked very good in that game. And now we just look at Enclave, who haven't really had the chance to kind of flex their muscles, and this game let them do so.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this was it, because I think up until now, everyone's only seen them lose. They played the least amount of games of any team in their league, tied with some others, but fundamentally, they played the tower defense against XL in week 1 and lost, but put a good effort up. They played against Fnatic on the first game on week 2 and put up a good fight but lost. And we were still like, are these guys really strong? Have they just had good games? Maybe XL and Fnatic were underestimating them a bit, but I think they proved in that game they win.
Well, coming out of that game, we actually have an interview with the Governor, the top laner for Enclave. How are you doing, mate?
I'm doing very well, thank you very much. How about yourselves?
Yeah, I'm pretty good after that game. I mean,
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I have to ask, how does it feel to be the only member on your team to die until the end of that game, obviously? But
I was so angry at Wisehook. I was going to tweet out like 100% death ratio, but yeah.
He had to let you down.
Yeah, unfortunately. I did flame me a little bit at the end, but I'm really happy with how everyone played.
So what do you think? Because obviously we haven't seen a ton of Enclave. We saw the game against XL. We saw the game against Fnatic. Do you think this is a sort of the regular form to expect? And where would you place yourselves in the league with regards to your strength?
I think we're definitely top 4 team, top 4 contender at least. Maybe against the academy teams we didn't shape up too well, but I think that this game cements ourselves as better than the bottom tier teams.
And I mean, we saw last 2 weeks, you obviously took on XL and you took on Fnatic. Out of those two teams, you know, did you guys feel that there was a chance that you could win? Did you feel like coming into the later weeks in this later stages in the show, do you feel that maybe there's a good chance for you guys to actually take out one of these teams, or are you kind of more focused at the moment on taking the other teams?
Yeah, so really looking forward to later on when we shape up a bit more, fighting the academy teams. As we get better, it will be nice to rematch them and see how much we've improved from the first couple of weeks. But I think it's definitely possible for us to take a game from them. I mean, it's best of one. We just saw today that M&M managed to do it. And I think if we can beat M&M, then it shows that we can beat the academy teams as well.
So currently we have Diabolus, M&M, and then it's going to be either Bulldog or Barrage on the next round with you. How do you think you match up against these teams, and who do you think you could take out just from the names initially? Like, who would you look for to get matched up against, and who do you think they're a bit tricky?
I'd love to go against Barrage just because it's X-Team, but I also think that they're the easiest to take out. I think that they'll beat Bulldogs pretty easily, so I hope to draw them at least. Okay,
and you think out of M&M and Diabolus, is there someone who you think they might be a bit stronger or a bit weaker out of those two?
I definitely think those two are the stronger ones that we don't want to look at. I'd like to see M&M and Diabolus play as well. I don't really want to play against them until we have to.
Understandably, gives you more time to prepare and maybe build that momentum. One last question. How was morale after those first 2 weeks? Because obviously you played a game, you lost, that was it. How did you feel after that for the first 2 weeks? Were you like, okay guys, yes, we've had a rough start, but we can do better? Or were there any people who were a bit uncertain after that?
Yeah, we had a rough start, but I don't think anyone's too sad about it. I mean, we lost against the 2 best teams in the league, the only 2 Chao champions so far. So I don't think anyone was too upset about it. And I think this game was really good for a confidence boost for us to just show that we can actually win these league games. And hopefully we can do the same tomorrow.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Governor, and thank you for coming on the show. Good luck in the draw and in your games tomorrow. So we'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Thanks very much.
I mean, he's pretty honest. He's like, I'd rather not fight M&M than Diabolus.
I'd rather fight. How it is. He'd rather have more time, collect more points.
Yeah.
If he does go up against the easier opponents, and he did lay his claim. He said he reckons Barrage will easily beat Bulldogs in the next game. I don't think it's a wild claim to make.
I'd agree with you on that.
I would favor Barrage, but we saw Darkspawn take them out last week, and that was a bit of an upset. And Bulldogs, they've proven to not be completely easy to predict. You know, they haven't had the greatest run so far, but in games they've definitely had some good performers, particularly the mid laner Calwood. I think he's been really solid so far.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, this is obviously the next game coming up, so I'm pretty excited to see who's going to be our 4th and final team coming into the draw out of week 3. I think every one of the teams who've won already are looking at this game and going, all right, this is the one we want to place, because this is the one we want to beat, and then try and get ourselves into that finals.
And that's the thing, is that whichever team wins out of this one, out of Bulldogs or Barrage, they need to come out swinging. Because if they look shaky or weak, it's not going to build your confidence for the next round. And I think whoever wins, you want it to be decisive, but for all we know, it could be very messy.
Well, very messy indeed, but we still have one more team to decide. So after the break, it's going to be Bulldog taking on Barrage. You don't want to miss this. See you in a minute.